on, kiddies? Hope this video finds you in good health and good spirits. Have you called your mother today? She's waiting to hear from you. Tell your lover, send her my best regards. Thank you for joining me for this exciting collection update. I did it! I pulled it off! That's pretty good, huh? So yeah, collection update. What we're listening to in the background is an album that should not be forgotten by the mighty Blut aus Nord. This is Memoria Vetusta 3 Saturnian Poetry, and this was released several years ago. This packaging is kind of boring to me, but man, this is a phenomenal record, and it kind of bugs me that they're continuing to release stuff like every 6 months, and they're just kind of burying this brilliant record underneath other releases. I don't check in with Blut aus Nord all that often, honestly, but this one was stated as being a tribute to Norwegian black metal of the 90s. So it was interesting to hear a band who I kind of think of, and I think most people think of, as being a little bit more digital sounding, or a little bit more just kind of inhuman, doing something kind of in the opposite direction. So it was an interesting kind of melding of styles that I really, really enjoyed. There's those kind of Emperor-esque clean vocals going on and stuff. So check it out if you haven't. I know I usually kind of dig really deep for stuff to play in the background that you guys might like, but I really wanted to kind of pay some tribute to this brilliant record in case it missed any of your collections. So I don't have a lot of stuff to go through, but you know, I just thought I would check in with you. It has been I've done 3 videos in the last 2 weeks or whatnot, but I shot them all in one day. So it may seem like I haven't been gone for a while, but I haven't shot anything for like 2 weeks. Been really crazy busy, and haven't been ordering a lot of stuff. But I always say that, and I wound up having a 25-minute long video or so. So we'll see where this takes us, but it might be kind of a short one. We'll see. But the first thing I've gotten in, I was pretty excited to grab this. This is Necrophobic, Pile of Decayed Entrails. I was introduced to this release by a friend of mine, Joe, who does some brilliant artwork. You should check it out on Instagram. Nightmare Imagery. Just some awesome thorny skeletons and gory kind of stuff. And he's really into this kind of ancient 90s Scandinavian death metal kind of stuff. But this is not of the more typical ilk. Necrophobic. First of all, this is a compilation of demos, as you would expect. Head Split Records put this out. Actually, the first Head Split Records release that I bought. I hear a lot of stuff about their stuff, but never get around to ordering it. But this was the one that really broke the straw for me. So it's death metal, but it's got a lot more of that kind of ham-fisted kind of grindcore kind of stuff. So it'll do some chunky kind of death metal kind of stuff, but break down into just some totally fucking head-smashing grindcore, and it's really, really fun. It's got that great early 90s kind of sound to it, and there's a lot of material to get through on here. There is this is done weird. Isn't it weird when a CD, it's a CD, it has one side that is playable, but it says side A and then side B, like it's an LP. I don't know why they did that, because I don't think this came out on LP. Since it's Head Split, I think they did it on cassette. But yeah, this is great stuff. I guess another thing along with that style, I also picked up this Lubricant. Also a Finnish death metal band, also a compilation of all the recorded material from 1991 to 93, and very similar to Necrophobic. However, I like this one maybe a little bit more. It has such a strong mid-range volume to it. It has this really weird kind of audio quality to it that you don't hear too often. It's like the highs are really brought down to the middle, and the low end is kind of sandwiched in there or just gone. and you're just getting blasted with mid-range frequencies, and I really kind of like it. It winds up sounding kind of farty and gross, lending to the really odd music going on here. So these guys didn't last very long, and I remember hearing the name for years and not really knowing anything about them. I guess I always assumed that they probably had something to do with like Amorphous, or members went on to do so and so or whatnot, but that's not actually the case. This is the only thing these guys ever did. There might be a cameo here or there on this or that demo, but I looked into it and I'm pretty sure all these guys just did Lubricant and that was it. And they're really unique. They were doing something that I don't think really caught on or had much success doing, so they faded away very quickly. So I'm super stoked that Smart Records, love you Smart, I'm not getting paid to say that, but reissued all their material here. We've got the Swallow the Symmetric Swab. I guess this will be a full length. I'm not sure if these are just like 2 demos or whatnot, but it just says cassette. But it has a good number of tracks on it. It's got 5 tracks on Swallow, and then on the Nucleptia EP CD, we've got another 6 songs on there. So it's 11 tracks in total. It's not too long, but it's really, really great stuff. And I actually picked it up on Amazon for really, really cheap. So, flyers, a little bit of liner notes here and there. It's super fun and good. I think it also came out on LP if you're interested. But I really, really like when this stuff hits a lot of those check boxes. It's Scandinavian 90s death metal. It's a compilation. It feels like you're getting 2 releases that are rare onto one. But also when it's super unique and kind of challenging in a way, I really feel like I'm getting a lot of value out of one of these more than, whatever other new death metal release. Let's see. This stack is kind of a lot of like well-known bands, in contrast to what I usually am covering. So, got a couple from Master's Hammer. I don't know if, I'm not too familiar with Master's Hammer, honestly. I had Voluminous Occultist since the dawn of time, but that was the only one I had, and I always thought, that is such a weird band, I'll get to them. So I picked up their Ritual a couple of months ago, the debut, so I'm just kind of filling in the cracks with their collection here and there. So I managed to pick up these 2. Not going to butcher their pronunciations, but these are the 2 kind of mid-range releases from around 2014 and this probably 2012. Yeah, 2012 here. But haven't listened to them very much yet. They're kind of normal sounding. It's kind of weird to hear Master's Hammer sound just kind of middle of the road plain for me. I really dug Fascinator from last year. And I felt like that was more of a flourishing of what the band was trying to do. And I just don't really know why these albums are just kind of normal. But yeah, I was stoked to pick those up for really, really cheap. Speaking of stoked, I have been wanting to get a copy of this next one for a really long time because it was released in 1997. We got Dark Side by Necrophobic, full length on Black Mark. I've had this on my wish list for as long as I've been on Discogs, I'm sure, but finally found a copy of it for a decent price. And I think the reason is because there's a hole in the barcode. Man, I don't give a shit about a hole in a barcode. If it makes it $5 or $10 cheaper to me, bet your ass I'll buy it. Because it's not like I'm buying it for the resale value of it, So this was, I think, the last album that David Parland played on, and I don't really know much about Necrophobic because I didn't really care for their debut. I thought it was just kind of like Slayer worship to me. This is really where they came into their own and became who they continued to be. But I really, really like this album, and my buddy Kelly had it when I was first getting into metal, and we used to drive around fucking singing along and nailing the Holy One. But yeah, I just never got around to picking it up until now, so I am really happy to have found a decent priced copy of that for really, really cheap. I don't know. I heard a lot of people talking about their full length from last year. Was it that it's maybe the best one since Dark Side? I don't know. What's the next Necrophobic album that I should be checking out if you're a fan? So kind of also along those lines, also I believe released in 1997, what a shocker, we have Mirror Worlds by Eucharist. Yeah, War Records, Wrong Again Records put this out back then. And you know, everybody who I've ever heard had a copy of this or reviewed this or whatnot. It's kind of rare. I think, pay maybe $20 for it. It goes for a little bit more than that every once in a while. So, you know, I wasn't going to buy it for much more than that. But everybody just says, it's okay. And, you know, I've probably listened to it maybe 2 or 3 times since I got it. And nothing more could be said about it, honestly. It's just alright. I can't hate it. There's some songs that are kind of exciting. There's other parts that are just like, run-of-the-mill Swedish blackened death metal from the late 90s, you know. A lot of that stuff you can look back or like have forgotten about or discover stuff that you didn't know about from back then that's fucking awesome. But it doesn't hold a candle to a Velvet Creation whatsoever. But it's just not bad. It's just not hateable. It's just kind of meh. It's just there. I don't regret buying it by any means, since I'm, you know, kind of a completionist collector, and Eucharist, A Velvet Creation, is a fantastic release. But Mirror Worlds, just, you know, it's nothing to write home about. But I have been super fucking stoked on this one. I know you guys have probably been aware of this one. I believe this is going to be my album of the year, possibly. Funereal Presence with Akatius. I'm not sure. Just so you know, you need to buy this on CD or LP. Ajna Offensive has both copies, or both albums, for $15 in a bundle, and you ought to get on it. I've listened to this one maybe once or so. I didn't give it my full attention. This one is called The Archer Takes Aim. But this one, I can't get enough of. This is one of those records you put on in the car and you're fucking smashing your steering wheel along with these riffs, banging your head into the fucking windshield. It's so good. It is not overstated. It is not... You can't fucking believe how utterly great this is. The thing about it was just the fucking riffs on it are so fucking good. He does these squirrely, kind of skronky leads that are like atonal, kind of dissonant notes, but managed to kind of sidestep that awkwardness and make it sound kind of melodic and kind of catchy, so that every time he plays that little kind of weird note lead kind of deal, you're just like, oh, I can't get enough of it. And that song, and like, those are like the candy on top of the cake for the whole record. It's a fucking phenomenal, blazing masterpiece of a record. I'm super impressed with this goddamn album. So Ajna released it with Sepulchral Voice, but honestly, if you're holding back and waiting for somebody to say the right things about this record, oh, this is just so fucking good. It's a masterpiece. I can't believe how impressed I am with this fucking thing. It's a one-man band too. Fucking amazing. If you don't know, this is dude from Negative Plane, Occultation. I don't know if there's any other bands that he's been in, but I'm a really big fan of this dude's stuff, and I think this might be my favorite thing that he has released so far. So Akatius, definitely don't miss out on that, and you can't go wrong buying both of those records for $7 a piece, honestly. let's get this pooper out of the way, I guess. So a couple of months ago, I was listening to the Radical Research podcast, and for some reason, just hearing Hunter talk about this album made me want to buy it. I've tried so hard to get into this band artist over the years, and it just never quite clicks with me. King Diamond's The Eye. Fatal Portrait is kind of fun, but I just feel like I cannot enjoy King Diamond for what it is. It's cheesy and it's funny and it's awful, and I like that about it, but it's like the difference between a movie that scares the shit out of you and stuns you in unexpected ways and has a storyline that keeps you gripped to your television while it's happening, versus a stupid, cheesy movie like, I don't know, fucking Airplane or Garbage Pail Kids is one of my favorite cheesy movies, but I just can't fucking consume King Diamond or Merciful Fate without it being just drenched in irony. I can't fucking do it, I guess. And this is finally me realizing that King Diamond just maybe isn't for me, and I'm okay with that. I'm trying to figure out anything good to say about this album, honestly. I listened to it maybe 2 or 3 times. I just popped it in again. I actually bought this maybe 3 months ago, and I didn't want to talk shit about this album on my channel yet until finally today I was like, you know what, let me give it another shot, see what I think of it. God, man, I just cannot get into it. King Diamond, The Eye. Get into it. Let's see. Next, I got another album that I've been wanting to buy for at least 20 years. Miasma with Changes, including the bonus EP. This is the cover. Love Songs. So Miasma were an Austrian death metal band, and this album was originally released in 92? October 5th, 1992 on Lethal Records. Wait, this says Vienna. I thought they were Austrian. Whatever, I'm pretty sure they are Austrian. Anyways, stylistically though, I don't know what really to compare them to. There's some kind of early Cannibal Corpse-y kind of similarities, not that influenced this necessarily, but it's not it's less thrash influenced, I think, than a lot of death metal bands that were coming out around 91, 92. It is chunky as fuck and heavy and just guttural and brutal, rather than having kind of switched up skank beats and kind of thrash riffs and stuff like that. It is just pummeling, more like Krabathor or those kind of bands that are just unrelentingly heavy. But what I like about Miasma is their use of dissonant tones and riffs, super just skronky, weird leads going on all over the place. It's very unique, and this was a rare release back in the day, and I've been really jonesing to get a copy of it finally. It's been reissued, I think, in 2016 by Marquee Records, which I'm not familiar with. It looks like they got the rights from Napalm, who did a reissue of it back in like 96 maybe, or something like that. But this is good stuff. You gotta check this out. Miasma with Changes and the bonus EP Love Story. Wait. Love Song, sorry. Lastly, so a couple of months ago I was on a Sad Legend kick. Gotta love me some Korean doomy black metal from Sad Legend. So I just got into look into like what are the other members that have done, what else is like associated. I don't really know much about South Korea's metal scene, if there is one, and I wound up stumbling upon this project. I want to say the main guy in Sad Legend played on this guy's first demo, which I haven't heard yet. That's just the link. The story was, I guess, with Kulpa, which this band is called, Kalpa. He had a whole band, and he kicked everybody out because they weren't living up to his visions, of course. And so then he did this 4-song full length. And it is pretty unique. And honestly, I wasn't really impressed until it came to the last song on here. Lately I've been putting a lot of stuff on my phone, and I'll just play it on shuffle, and that way, you know, I'll have to pick up my phone and look and see what it is. I'll be like, what the fuck is this? I don't know what this is. So it's a nice way. I know a lot of people are kind of annoyed by shuffle, but I kind of like it. It's like having a instant DJ just throw weird random stuff at you, curveballs all the time. And it kind of makes you listen a little bit closer, or give something, I think, more of a chance, because you don't know what it is ahead of time. You take it only for what you're hearing if it's the first time you're hearing it. So this really took me by surprise after having it come up in that way. And I really like kind of almost being like scared by a release, or scared, surprised, I guess is the better way to put it. Anyways, this is a really, really good release. It's called The Path of the Eternal Years. It comes in this stupid little slipcase or whatnot, and the album cover is shit too anyways. However, it is really well written, kind of epic pagan black metal. Just the very first few minutes of the last song on here just reminded me, and obviously I'll put a link down below for you to check this out. Please do. It reminded me of later era Bathory. So well written, so just goddamn mighty, and just from the top of a mountain kind of stuff. It was super well done. There's some paintings and whatnot. I believe this is a cover of a Triumvir Foul 7-inch that I have. But yeah, it's this kind of stuff. Have you ever seen a sword that goddamn long? Really, really impressive. But yeah, this is a good release. It's not amazing. It's not fucking brilliant, but I paid a couple bucks for it, and I'm totally digging it. I guess another thing that I'm charmed with about this is it's kind of clumsy. It sounds like he had these songs written and he was maybe working with them with a band, and wound up just like kicking them all out and just cobbling it all together with a drum machine. So there's a lot of like kind of clumsy choices, and the drum machine is kind of just not the best. There's some kind of tightness issues where things kind of slip out of the groove and whatnot, and honestly I kind of like that with this kind of stuff. This record came out 17 years ago, so it's kind of in that mid-era range of stuff where you can kind of do anything with a drum machine, but maybe people weren't all that great at doing it like they are these days, which to me I think kind of sometimes winds up sounding kind of boring. So Kulpa, The Path of Eternal Years. That is it for this one. Gonna get back into the vault for our next video, I believe. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you next time, and take care.